get rid of all these little kid fingerprints that are all over this bike. Alright, bam, I think we're good. Alright, buenos dias, que onda, que paso, amigos? Welcome back to the channel, John's Moto Garage. Today I'm going to go over some basic tricks and tips on how to sell a motorcycle. It can seem like a daunting task, especially if you've never done it before. Some people don't even know where to start. How do I go about doing it? Am I even going to be able to sell the motorcycle? And so we're going to go over some of the tips and tricks I've learned over the years. This isn't fully comprehensive, and this isn't necessarily how you have to do it, but this is how I go about doing it, and these are things that I found work, again, through trial and error over the years. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. Just to give you guys a little bit of context, as you can see, I'm a big fan of the motos, and I have sold a handful of bikes over the years. I'm not a dealership. This is all just private party stuff, and so I will note this is for private party sales specifically. Without further preamble, let's just go ahead and jump into it. We're going to take this example, this Yamaha Warrior 1700. This is a 2002, and I've not had a super long time, but it's time to get rid of the Warrior. So I'm going to actually start out by going and taking pictures of the bike. Now, first step is just get the bike presentable, or at least as presentable as it can be. This one, pretty easy. Just give it a nice wipe down and clean up, and you're good to go. Let's see, we'll fire the bike up. Gonna let it warm up a little bit here. Now, there's different schools of thought. Some people think you got to get the bike like fully tuned, fresh tires, fresh oil filter, all that stuff. And that's great if you do. Some people think you have to have service records and all that stuff. And that's awesome if you do. That's all going to help make it, in some cases, easier to sell. But what I've learned is just be transparent and price the bike accordingly. Because you can sell just about anything. We've all seen basket cases for sale on Craigslist. Now, the people who are asking $5,000 for a pile of parts, obviously they're not getting that for it. But if you're realistic, you say, hey, I've got this pile of parts, here's everything I've got, and you're asking a realistic price for it, then you're going to be able to sell all those parts. And so with the motorcycle, one of the first things you can do to help you sell your bike is actually do a little bit of research, find out what are other bikes going for, what condition are those bikes in. You can look at Kelley Blue Book, you can look at NADA. Those are sometimes loose values, not necessarily, you know, by the book. Some bikes sell higher than those values, other bikes don't even sell close to that. But do a little bit of due diligence initially, get an idea of the market and what you think other bikes in your area are going for. And sometimes you got a unique bike like this one. It's a 2002. It's kind of on the old side now, but there aren't a ton of them out there. And when there aren't a ton of them out there, sometimes you can play that to your advantage, sometimes not. It really depends on the market. You know the old adage, something's worth as much as somebody's willing to pay you for it. It depends where you live. It depends on the supply and demand, all that stuff. It makes a world of difference when you have a bike that's super dusty and dirty and you got like mud all over the place versus just cleaning it up, giving it a nice little shine. I'm on my way now to go take some pictures of the motorcycle. When I take the pics, I'll talk a little bit about doing the photo. Let's talk a little bit about where to sell the bike. There's tons of free classifieds. I always start with the free ones, and that also is going to depend where you live. But in general, Craigslist now charges $5, but that's not horrible. You don't have as many people using Craigslist because of that, and you don't have as many bikes available on Craigslist because of that. But Craigslist is still a viable option last I checked. OfferUp, and you've also got Facebook Marketplace is huge now, and Cycle Trader. So those are, for the most part, all the free ones. Depending where you live, there may be other classifieds that are popular in your area, but try to tackle those free ones. Do cross posts, post it in as many places as you know. That's going to help you to basically market and get the bike out there. Marketing is huge. Half the bikes I buy, the only reason I can get a good deal is because people do a horrible job marketing. They don't take good photos, they don't do a good descriptive post, and they don't repost the ad when they're able to, and so nobody sees it, or what they do see isn't appealing to them. It doesn't catch their eye. So I'll talk a little bit about it and then we'll do the photos, but just take good photos. You don't have to be a professional photographer. These days with your cell phones, you can take really high quality photos with a cell phone, and that'll do the trick. I like to get your basic profile shots, shot from the front, shot from the back, a nice close-up of the engine, all that good stuff, and typically call it a day. And I will talk a little bit about, like I mentioned, just be upfront about the condition of the bike. You don't have to necessarily, you know, nitpick every single little thing, but if you know that the bike has been dropped or, you know, tipped over, you could say, hey, bike was tipped over at a standstill, and take pictures of whatever scuffs or, you know, potential cosmetic damage or blemishes the bike sustained. Just be transparent, because when somebody comes to look at the motorcycle, if they're doing their research, they're going to see all of that, they're going to find it, and so it's going to put you in a real awkward situation if you weren't upfront about it, because you're wasting their time and you're wasting your time. And I understand things are subjective, it's a used motorcycle, but if there's something obvious that you know about, just save yourself and the other person the time, be upfront about it, and it'll be much easier. Maybe it'll take a little longer to sell, maybe you'll have to take a little bit less for it, but at least you can sleep easy at night knowing that you're you know, being transparent or honest about it. All right, I'm gonna take some pictures of the bike here, and as you can see, this is nothing special, this is nothing awesome, and I'll try it a few different places if the lighting isn't the best here, but we're just gonna try this out. Yeah, I like something a little more basic, to be honest, but some of the spots where I used to go are no longer available. But as you can see, you just do, you know, front, back, side to side, get a couple different angles, try to make it look cool. This bike, as you can see, it's got a little indent on the tank. I'm going to take a nice picture of it, and then I'll include that in the description. And then you've got a little bit of peeling here, right there. I think for the most part that's it, as far as, you know, like cosmetic blemishes. I'm really not digging this spot. It's a little too bright for my liking. Kind of see what else we can find. Anyway, you've got the pictures, you've done your research, you know the price, you've found where you're going to post the bike. So the next thing, of course, will be actually doing the advertisement. Now this is where, you know, everybody does it a little bit different. I like to keep it pretty short and simple. I like to be pretty objective, you know. So a few things you want to obviously post: make, model, year, any upgrades, anything that's going to add additional value to the motorcycle. If you've done, you know, fresh tires, if you have recent paperwork and maintenance history and things like that, obviously add that. That's just going to make it easier to sell. Like this one, for example, it's got the Vance & Hines exhaust, and so those are obviously selling points for the motorcycle. Not really digging these pics, man. All right, so just to kind of close it up, so the next step obviously is you got to make your actual post. So I like to keep it pretty straight and simple. This one, for example, I would do something like 2002 Yamaha Roadstar Warrior. It's got 11,000 miles, fuel injected, clean title, never down or dropped, newer tires, maybe a little bit about the bike, 1700cc, belt drive, you know, air cooled, inverted front forks, maybe put some of the horsepower, torque specs, super fun bike to ride, super nimble, whatever, blah blah blah. Few minor cosmetic blemishes, you know, little indent in tank and some peeling here on the clear coat. See pictures, right? It's a used bike. This thing's 20 years old or close to it. You know, nobody's expecting something perfect, but it's nice to know about certain things up front. From there, you just post the motorcycle. Be wary of scammers. People will be trying to scam you. That's just the name of the game. Always try to meet in person, public place, somewhere where it's light. I'm going to leave it up to you guys if you feel comfortable meeting at your home or somewhere else. That's totally up to you based on where you live and your experience with that. I usually meet at my house after messaging with the person, unless for some reason it just doesn't seem right, but that's rarely ever happens, if ever. So then from there, it's just try to reply back in a timely manner to people's inquiries. Try to be courteous. Even if somebody shoots you a lowball offer, just say, hey, appreciate the interest, but no thank you. You'd be surprised, somebody might shoot you a real lowball offer, you say, hey, no thanks, and then they come back with a better offer. I found it doesn't do anybody any good to be a dick, for lack of a better word, you know. F you, man, this bike's worth way more, you know. That doesn't necessarily do anybody any good. So yeah, those are kind of the big tips and tricks. Those are the things that I found over the years help. And then just be patient. If after a certain period of time you're not getting any hits on it, then that's probably a good indicator that you need to drop the price. But you can also repost it. Sometimes better photos make a difference. There's different things you can try out. A few more things I forgot to go over. One, make sure you have your title and all of that ready to go before somebody comes to get the bike. I'm not necessarily saying you have to sign it, but know where it is, know where it needs to be signed, and know whether or not you need a notary. And if you do need one, like here in Arizona, have a notary close by. Also, you can print off bills of sale, and each state, I believe, has their own specific bill of sale. You can do that both for you and the seller. It's nice to have. And also, let's talk cash. So do you take cash, do you take check, cashier's check, Venmo, PayPal? Honestly, I've done just about every form of payment, including trades, but that's all going to depend on the individual, how comfortable you feel, and you want to do everything to protect yourself, because remember, once they leave with the bike and the title and it's signed, there's little to no recourse you have at that point. Do what you got to do to protect yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to go about doing that. Just do your research. If you don't feel comfortable, then have a meet at a bank or something. And if they keep making excuses or putting up issues and they just don't want to do it that way, odds are there's something sketchy about it. So some people have those little markers to check the individual bills. Some people have devices you can get online to check for counterfeit bills. You can do whatever you got to do. Typically, if you're doing cash, go to a bank where you can have the funds verified. If you're doing a check, go to the bank, make sure it's all legit. You know, do your research and due diligence with individual forms of payment. But like I said, I've done PayPal before, I've done Venmo, I've done trades, I've done personal checks, I've done cashier's checks, I've done cash. It's all kind of judgment call based on meeting the person and what you feel comfortable with and all that good stuff. Oh yeah, one last thing. Once you've sold the vehicle, you can do a sold notice. Again, it'll probably vary by state, but it's basically something that says you sold the vehicle. That way you're no longer liable if something were to happen. I think that's about it, man. Drop a comment below. What tips and tricks do you guys have for buying and selling? Just to recap, make the bike presentable, be honest and transparent about the condition, take good photos, do a good job marketing it, try to get as many different ad classified spots as possible to cross post and, you know, broaden your reach. Respond in a timely manner. Just be nice to people, you know, seems pretty basic. Be nice, meet in a public place during the day when possible, and save yourself the time and headache. Be upfront about the motorcycle. If you know there's an issue, either have it addressed and fixed, or at least be transparent about it. And just remember, you know, one man's trash is another man's gold. So there have been bikes where I thought, oh man, dude, it's got this leak, nobody's gonna be interested. You sell it, list it, have it priced accordingly, and flies off the shelves. So it does happen. And then the other one I forgot, do your research ahead of time, get an idea of what the market value is. That way you're not pricing yourself out of the market, but you're also not screwing yourself and pricing it way too low. And I think those are the main ones. I think those are the main ones. You'd be surprised. It is, depending where you live, like here in Arizona, there's a market pretty much year round. People are always looking to ride motorcycles. If you got the bike priced right, it'll sell. And so good luck. Like and subscribe if you dig it. John's Moto Garage. I've got all this motorcycle content as well as other stuff. And so we'll catch you on the next one. Adios, nos vemos.